Both Sarah and I are orphans. We have been supporting each other for nearly 20 years. I have always wanted to start a family with her. In the 4th year of our relationship, she fell in love with someone else. She was the one who confessed to me. And it was also she who proposed breaking up. However, I don't blame her. Later, when I went to teach in the mountains and was about to die to save someone, I sent her a WeChat message with a smile. Little sister, I'm sorry. Brother, I wish you happiness. A moment later, a red exclamation mark appeared in my field of vision. Suddenly relieved. I am about to leave. This world is not worth it. Negative review. 1 On the anniversary of our 4 years of being in love, I had made plans a long time in advance. But when I went to pick up Sarah, her expression didn't look good. There was a bit of evasion in her eyes when she saw me. And there was also a bit of a cold low pressure. As if she had something on her mind. I took her bag on my own initiative and asked a bit nervously, "Are you still angry with me?" She hesitated slightly and replied inferiorly, "No. I'm thinking about things after graduation." "Okay. My princess. If you like reading, you can continue studying. I'll be responsible for making money. The tastes I ordered today are all your favorites. The environment of that restaurant is also good. After eating, we can go watch a movie. Mahue fun ages." Sarah occasionally looked over as a response. We have known each other for 20 years. It's not clear when we started to swap personalities. Originally, I had a cold personality, was aloof, and didn't understand worldly affairs. She was gentle, kind, beautiful, and generous. There were many boys who liked her. But she has always been with me persistently. I don't need love. I only want family affection. Because love is poison wrapped in a beautiful coat. My parents were in love. They got together just after turning 18. People around them all said that they went from school uniforms to wedding dresses. When I was 5 years old, my dad cheated on his colleague. After my mom found out, the two of them had a tug of war in their marriage. The two of them didn't want me but only wanted all the family property. When I was 6 years old, my dad and mom argued while driving. The car overturned and fell off a cliff. The two of them died without a trace. I became an orphan. It was also in that year that I met Sarah. Too, at that time. Sarah liked to follow me step by step like a little tail. But I didn't know what was good for me. My face was even uglier than a stone in a cesspool. Others all advised her that this soft and glutinous little girl should not stick to a cold person. Sarah still did as she pleased. It's not that I don't want to respond to her, but because I don't dare. Only in this way. When we part in the future, I won't be sad. Before the college entrance examination, Sarah bet her future on me. "Do you believe that I can definitely be admitted to the same university as you?" I smiled. Obviously. Her grades and mine were not in the same category. Maybe young love can go through fire and water. Be vigorous. Burn oneself. And move the other person. So after the college entrance examination, Sarah and I naturally got together. She gave me her pure heart. I gave her a romantic proposal ceremony with all I had. After entering the restaurant, I couldn't control my excited heart and my voice trembled. "Sarah, close your eyes. I'll give you a surprise." The platinum ring was quietly waiting for its only mistress in the red velvet box. At the moment Sarah saw the ring, there was not joy in her eyes. Instead, there seemed to be an inexplicable emotion. Then she said casually, "Anthony, I said that I only want to think about things after graduation now. All these are too hasty." My mind exploded and I was instantly dizzy. Hasty? For years of being in love and 20 years of companionship, these processes were about to have results soon. But they were easily destroyed. For a moment, it seemed that there were thousands of mountains and rivers between us. "Sarah, you're right," the restaurant staff asked me considerately. I waved my hand. "Sorry. Cancel all the surprises for now. Sarah is a girl. It's normal for her to be panicked about the future. Let's take it slow. 3. With this episode. The later activity arrangements seemed perfunctory and we were both absent-minded. We went home early to rest. When she went to take a bath in the bathroom, I sat on the sofa and idly scrolled through the moments on my phone. Sarah is a person who attaches great importance to a sense of ceremony. She records every important moment. For some reason, I took her phone that was placed there. I clicked on WeChat. An unread message popped up on WeChat. The note was Dylan. After sliding through dozens of work conversations, a picture suddenly jumped into my sight. On National Day, Sarah went on a business trip. It turned out that she also went to Disneyland with him. The two were close together and were wearing couple t-shirts. In the middle of the night, I was in tears. It seemed that there was a gap in my heart and cold wind was blowing in. Pictures automatically flashed through my mind. Sarah majored in child psychology in college, because she has always liked children the most. But for her graduation internship, she went to a startup company. It turned out that it was for. They in the photo were very well matched. Sarah looked at Dylan with a slight smile and Dylan cooperatively posed with a heart. Hearing the sound of the bathroom water stop, I set the phone message as unread and put it back. For in fact, this is not the first time I have heard the name Dylan. During the few days of the Children's Day holiday, the dean mother of the orphanage called and invited us to go back to accompany the children for the festival. After the activity ended, the dean also asked Sarah when she would come back to work. Sarah only smiled and didn't answer. Up to this point, everything was normal. Until on the way home, we passed by a milk tea shop. I asked Sarah to wait in the car while I went down to line up to buy milk tea for her. When I got off the car, I accidentally took the wrong phone. The screen was on and that message just popped up. Sarah, is accompanying those naughty kids really more important than me? Frustrated. Can't stand it. I hadn't finished reading the words behind when Sarah snatched the phone back. Fortunately, I found out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to pay later. The stiff expression was full of flaws. After arriving home, I hurriedly took a taxi to the company again. 5. The more I thought about it at home, the more confused I became. I put on my coat and worked until I reached the office building where she worked. After smoking a whole pack of cigarettes and waiting until the lights in the office building were all off, and there were only a few people on the street, I sent her a WeChat message telling her that I would pick her up. After waiting for more than 10 minutes, Sarah got out of a G class. I laughed at myself. How can I give up? Maybe she is just used to me. Then why can't she keep being used to me? After all, it was she who always stuck to me at the beginning. Now every wish I make on my birthday is to be with her for a long time. After the college entrance examination, maybe it was God's mercy. Sarah took the initiative to say, I want to be with you. Not as siblings but as lovers. Is she absent-minded or tired? That late night, when we came back from the company, we maintained a polite and distant attitude. We were all silent about some words that were about to be said. In college, we talked on the phone for 3 or 4 hours. Now it seems that we have no common topics. Is it because I have become noisy and she is getting more and more indifferent? Yes. 3 words and all topics. She holds her phone for longer and even has a smile on her lips. Who is on the other end of the phone? I peeked at Sarah's phone contacts, secretly wrote down Dylan's phone number, and added him as a friend secretly. Dylan quickly passed. He loves to share his personal life, a cup of chicken soup in the morning, clocking in at work, and parties after get off work at night. The background wall of WeChat is a photo of Sarah and him. 6. Maybe Sarah has also noticed recently that our relationship has become very awkward. These days, she comes back early and does housework with me. But the more she does this, the more uncomfortable I feel. Until an incident happened on my birthday that completely made me feel that Sarah and I couldn't go back. On that day, we sat face to face at the dining table. When blowing out the candles, the message reminder sound on her phone was constantly ringing. She looked a bit absent-minded. When I was making a wish, I was already restless. What's wrong with you? Did something happen? I have something. There is an urgent matter in the company. Everyone has been notified to work overtime. It's not appropriate if I don't go. Birthdays come every year. Work is more important. I asked her, do you need me to take you there? No need. The refusal was straightforward. She left without looking back. Until the door closed with a bang. She didn't look at me. I stared blankly at the cake. She is not the project leader. But the little assistant is always ready to charge forward. The candles on the cake burned out. I looked at the time. It was already 11 o'clock. The WeChat message I sent her was pay attention to safety. I didn't receive a reply for 4 hours. Out of a certain masochistic psychology. I clicked on Dylan's moments. At 9:28 in the evening. He posted a late-night dog food, love dinner, with a photo of delicious food. My heart suddenly contracted. I had a premonition that something bad was going to happen. At this time, Dylan's moments was updated. The photo showed a woman's dark brown curly hair. At a glance, one could see a multicolored gold bracelet on her wrist. That was what I gave her when she graduated. He took the initiative to declare war on moments, no matter what day it is. Only those who are in each other's hearts can go towards each other. I can't even be an ostrich and deceive myself. They are developing very quickly. I want to talk to Dylan face to face. 7, he replied. You are finally willing to face it and not avoid it anymore. I just found out that today is your birthday. This should be the last birthday she spends with you. But I don't want Sarah to go back. Brother. Pity is not love. It won't last long. Sarah came back the next morning. I smoked a whole pack of cigarettes on the living room sofa. She was startled when she entered the door. Why are you smoking? I looked at her. My eyes were full of red bloodshot. What did you do last night? Sarah still refused to admit it. I told you. There was overtime at the company. I showed her my phone's WeChat. Sarah immediately got angry. Are you sick? Who let you spy on me and add his WeChat? She tried to take the initiative. What are you hiding from me? I was giving her a chance to explain clearly. Don't you know that you are very impolite? I turned my head and saw the impatient expression flashing in her eyes. She has never realized where the problem is and evades the question. The nails of my clenched fist were deeply embedded in the flesh. When I was extremely angry, I was calm instead. That night I had a nightmare. In the dream, it was me in my childhood. At that time, I was running in front. Sarah was closely following behind. Her eyes and heart were full of me. Brother Anthony. I'll go with you. I only trust you. That was when I took her to escape from the orphanage. I turned back and reached out to hold her. But she was swept away by an undercurrent. Leaving me alone in the orphanage. Many children in the orphanage shouted, "He is a jinx. He is a disaster. He killed his parents." The malice of children is even more terrifying. The Dean mother covered my ears. I am not. I struggled awake from the dream. I tiptoed to the living room sofa. As soon as I sat down, I saw Sarah push open the bedroom door. Anthony. Did you have a nightmare? You just think too much. That's why. You are suspicious. I didn't respond, and she didn't want to continue. Should we part? I said softly. So. On the one hand, you like the sunny side, and on the other hand, you have to pity me? You are so busy. She glared at me. After realizing it, don't insinuate and scold people. I sneered. I'm not wrong. Her face turned pale and her lips trembled. Anthony. You are simply unreasonable. We grew up together and have been in love for 4 years. If she doesn't want to be together anymore, she can tell me openly. Even if it's out of pity. She can't trample on my true heart and dignity. We are all children who grew up in an orphanage. Who is not a pitiful person? There are 2 types of children in the orphanage. One is orphans without parents. Like me. The other is abandoned children with parents. Like Sarah. Sarah is also a pitiful person. Her mother left her at the gate of the orphanage in order to remarry. She held a doll and waited for her mother at the gate of the orphanage every day. It seemed that her tears could never stop flowing. Now she is looking at me with red eyes again. I admit that I actually feel distressed again. On the day of the restaurant proposal, I made a VCR of our years together. There are photos of her first birthday spent in the orphanage. Many children like to surround her. But I stay far away, and am not sociable. She ran over to take a photo with me. The reward she wanted for getting the first place in the exam was the Superman I had been longing for. In Senior 3, I bought her the first bouquet of roses. We have known each other since childhood. From kindergarten uniforms to school uniforms. It should be wedding dresses. At that time, what she said the most was, "Anthony, we should be together for a long time. This life, the next life, and the life after that." At that time, I laughed at her greed. Having known each other for 20 years and been in love for 4 years, she is firmly embedded in my life. So it really hurts. It hurts tens of millions of times more than when my parents abandoned me. Love is hard to continue. Then let's say goodbye. There is sand in my eyes. 10 Suddenly, a car rushed towards me head on in my field of vision. I reacted a few seconds late. There's a car accident. I quickly turned the steering wheel. The car quickly turned around and then overturned. Fortunately, Sarah wasn't in the car. In the crushed compartment, I saw the platinum ring roll down for a moment and then disappear. On the day I didn't confess, Sarah and I ran to the small accessory stall at the Rainbow Bridge night market and spent all our money to buy a pair of Tibet and silver rings. After wearing them for 4 years, the patterns on them were already indistinguishable. Soon, everything in front of me was pitch black. There was a lot of noise around, but I was groggy. It turns out that hearing is really the last sense to disappear before people die. 11 In the chaotic rescue, Sarah cried, "If he dies because of me, I will feel guilty for the rest of my life." Sarah, don't be sad. It's not you who hit him. Through the obstruction of the doctor, I saw Sarah being hugged by Dylan. The doctor reprimanded them. "The injured won't die. Don't mourn prematurely." Looking at Sarah's embarrassed face and just breathing a sigh of relief, I actually felt that I might as well be dead. Perhaps because they didn't notice that I had woken up. Dylan gave a light peck on Sarah's face. "Don't cry anymore. If you shed tears for another man again, I should punish you. That's my brother." Sarah shyly covered her face, and then looked at my hospital bed after finishing speaking. "Yes. I am your brother. This is the last time I help you. Sarah." I am calm and even want to say congratulations. But I am afraid that Sarah will be suspicious. 12 I hired a nurse. Sarah and Dylan left together. The next day, she bought breakfast early and stood at the door, hesitating and not daring to enter. I waved at her. "What's wrong? Is my fall very terrifying? Why are you standing there?" Sarah was like a child who had done something wrong, and was forgiven. There was a smile on her eyebrows and eyes. I let her accompany me by the bed steadily for a whole day. Just like every weekend in the past. I told her about my recent experiences at work. I showed her useful software I found on my phone and talked and laughed with her. This is the last day of companionship. You have to face life by yourself from now on. Sarah. She didn't seem to feel my mood of leaving at all. In the evening, when the nurse came to work, she looked at me reluctantly. I didn't say anything. Farewell should also be said to those who are reluctant to part. After she told me on WeChat that she had arrived home, I opened Dylan's moments and found that she quickly threw herself into Dylan's arms with the smell of Lysol all over her. 13 A week later, I was discharged from the hospital. I refused to let Sarah pick me up. I have changed and been completely reborn. I hardly look at her messages. I don't answer the phone either. Sarah has returned to her clingy appearance at the beginning. She will send WeChat video calls over and over again. "Brother, are you abandoning me?" "Yes. It should be that we abandon each other." But I replied, You should think carefully about things after graduation instead of thinking wildly. This city is full of bad memories. I planned to travel. But Sarah's mother suddenly contacted me. She looked at me with great sadness in her eyes. Sarah is living well. But her younger brother is about to die. Hand her over to me. I can give you 300,000 yuan as compensation for raising her all these years. For a moment, I only felt my blood surging and frowned tightly. I didn't know how to scold her. She begged me to pity him. He is so young but has to undergo dialysis every day. It's okay for a girl to lose one kidney. She knelt down and begged me emotionally. If she doesn't hand over Sarah, she will have no way out. Looking at her sad expression, I felt a chill down my spine. I was very sad. For Sarah and for me. It turns out that we are both children who are not liked by our parents. I refused her request. She began to curse Sarah for not having a good end and accused me, an outsider, of having no right to hide Sarah. I looked at her calmly. She was so angry that she was ashamed. Don't think I don't dare. You are a jinx. Whoever meets you will have bad luck. I got up and left. Sarah, I can only protect you up to this point. When I took Sarah to escape from the orphanage for the first time, I swore in my heart, I will stay by her side and protect her for life. There is only one word love difference between a vow and a lie. They are at two ends of the balance. Whichever side love stands on will be heavy. 14 Sarah knew that I was leaving. She blocked my way after work. Why didn't you tell me when you were leaving? There's no need to make it seem like a life and death separation. You have changed. After she said this, her mood was obviously low. I touched my chest. It turns out that after being in pain for a long time, one becomes numb. The next day, Sarah suddenly came and told me that she was going to resign. She was holding a piggy bank in her arms. After we were together, we put all the money we earned from various part-time jobs into it. This is our happiness fund. Anthony, do you remember? At that time, we competed to save money in it. Now it's heavy. What about our happiness? Anthony. As she spoke, she picked it up and smashed it on the stone. Without a heart, how can there be happiness? I sent the photo of Sarah smashing the piggy bank to Dylan. Immediately after, Sarah's phone rang. She took a look and then said perfunctorily, "It's a scam call." When she lied, her eyes glanced into the distance. This is her subconscious action. She may not even know it herself. But I am very familiar with it. I made an excuse that I had to go to the company to hand in my resignation. She wanted to accompany me to organize things. I didn't refuse. But we walked one in front and one behind on the road. There was even no tacit understanding of living together for more than 20 years. 15 Very late. Very late. Dylan sent me several messages. All of them were asking me to leave. Don't act. If you want to leave, leave cleanly. Be a man. Don't use leaving to tantalize Sarah's appetite. I am very helpless. Even if Dylan cheated on me, I don't want to do anything. Because Sarah's attitude makes me feel cold. I just didn't expect Dylan to be like this. For a fickle woman. Is it ridiculous? I didn't pay attention to him, but he became more energetic. The next day, he began to post bed photos of Sarah and him. Don't pretend to be dead. Is it like dancing on your heart? I want to turn your head into a double yolk egg and punch your left eye into your right eye. I checked out of the hotel and began my journey. After traveling through most of China, finally I chose to stay in the mountainous area of northern Sichuan to teach. Matthew was the one I met at that time. He said, "People have to do something worthy of remembering before they die in this life." I agreed, brother. Count me in. Like-minded people can quickly play together. The conditions in the mountainous area are very harsh. But my heart is gradually filled. This is a pure land. People are very kind. There is no feasting and revelry. No extravagance and dissipation. People work at sunrise and rest at sunset. There is purity in children's eyes and sincerity on adults' faces. I use my specialty to record life with my mobile phone and take pictures of handicrafts made by women here. I teach children, teach them knowledge, play games with them, and also learn to do farm work. There are children of several grades in one class here. I am in charge of grades 1 to 3. Dog Leftover is the naughtiest one here. Later, I found out that his parents are both disabled. He has to go home every day to help his parents with farm work. 16 in early winter. It started snowing heavily in the evening. Some children told me that Dog Leftover had secretly gone home. I called several older children and divided them into several groups. I asked them to supervise each other and not go out casually. The heavy snow was about to block the road. No one can go home. Wait for the teacher. I went out with Matthew and a group of people to look for Dog Leftover. The heavy snow in the mountains was a thick layer reflecting a glaring white light. The howling wind was wrapped in heavy snow. 1 step deep and 1 step shallow. I suddenly slipped into a ditch. Fortunately, a dead tree stopped me. After scrambling up, I only felt a burning sensation in my chest and a roaring in my ears. Then on a hillside, I saw Dog Leftover who was unconscious. When I touched him, the child's forehead was burning hot. Not knowing where the road was, I walked 1 step deep and 1 step shallow by intuition, carrying the feverish Dog Leftover on my back. I arrived at the village health center all the way. While walking, I kept nagging in his ear, "Little Dog Leftover, if you dare to go home quietly again next time, wait for the teacher to spank your butt. Do you hear me? Don't sleep." In the middle of winter, the health center at night was so quiet that a pin drop could be heard. Strangely, I shouted for the doctors and nurses to hurry up and take a look at Dog Leftover who had a fever. But a group of people surrounded me and pointed fingers. I shouted anxiously, "Doctor, doctor, come and take a look at this child quickly. He was frozen in the snow and his whole body is burning hot." "How are you? How are you?" The nurse next to me trembled and tugged at my sleeve. "How am I?" I wiped my face and it was a sticky mess. The hot and humid snot seemed to keep flowing out uncontrollably. In the cold winter, it might be that my nose was frozen. The taste of rust in my mouth was getting stronger and stronger, and it seemed to be surging out of my throat in waves. Matthew, who came to the health center after me, cursed, "Damn it. Anthony. Are you okay? Don't die." I was stunned for a moment and said, "I'm fine. Shut your crow's mouth. I just slipped and fell into the ditch. My life is good." I was stopped by a big tree. On the way to find Dog Leftover just now, I slipped and rolled into the ditch. Fortunately, a dead tree blocked me. After a short period of unconsciousness, I climbed up and continued to look for Dog Leftover. I thought I was fine. How could there be a person like me who fell from a high place, carrying the weight of a bag of rice? With a clear mind and walking vigorously, Matthew and I walked a few steps inside. Through the image on the large glass door of the hospital, I saw steam rising from the top of my head, the dripping brownish red water stains on the ground. I suddenly felt dizzy and had tinnitus. My chest was like a ball of fire, instantly melting all my internal organs. All 5 senses were so obvious. I fell to the side. Several people hurriedly lifted me onto the operating bed. The doctor, wearing gold-rimmed glasses next to me, lifted up my clothes and looked around, sighing and shaking his head. "Contact his family. It's useless. The internal organs are severely damaged and the organs are failing." I suddenly realized that I hadn't felt pain all this time, not because I had a special constitution, but because of a flashback. Only now is it the proper manifestation after a serious injury. The doctor has announced that I am hopeless. Please, please save him. Come on. Come on. Let's go to the best hospital. Anthony, don't scare me. You can't die like this. You said you have a good life. Please save him. He is only 23 years old. Organs can be transplanted. Yes. Transplanted. I have one. Use mine. Matthew is a good brother who teaches together. He knelt down and begged the doctors. The big boy over 1 meter 8 slumped on the ground and couldn't cry anymore. I held Matthew's hand and told him not to waste time. At this time, there was only one person in my mind, Sarah. The person I had depended on for nearly 20 years. I want to see her. Across mountains and seas. I just want to see her again. I want to see her in a wedding dress and want to video call her. But she is timid. Looking like this now will give her psychological shadows. In the end, I endured the pain and slid open my phone. At 11:59, I sent a message on WeChat. Little sister, my brother's birthday wish this year is I wish you happiness. A moment later, a red exclamation mark appeared in my field of vision. I suddenly burst into tears sadly. This year's birthday. And next year will be the anniversary of my death. I am about to leave. This world is not worth it. Negative review. Sarah's Extra Chapter 118. Matthew called me. Matthew has heard the story of me and my brother. He must think I am an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. My hand holding the phone was trembling nonstop and my voice was choked. What you said is not true. My brother can't die. He said he would protect me for a lifetime. A lifetime. Matthew paused and sneered. What? He is dead and still protect you for a lifetime. You really dare to say it. Damn it. After hanging up the phone, my eyes were red and tears were dripping down. Brother, why did you leave first? I should leave first. I feel like my life is just for suffering. People who have been nice to me since I was young have all had bad endings. When I was 5 years old, my father died in a car accident. My mother abandoned me at the gate of the orphanage. Then she disappeared. When I was 23 years old, my brother died unexpectedly. He died to save someone. Originally he could not have gone to teach in the mountains. Because I made him sad. He went to northern Sichuan. In fact, it should be me who dies. Some people say that fate is fair. Some people suffer first and then enjoy sweetness. Some people enjoy sweetness first and then suffer. I didn't dare to contact my brother on his last birthday because I was afraid that I couldn't control myself and cry. Brother, my wish in this life is to bear all the hardships in this world for me. All the sweetness in the future is for my brother. I was even afraid that he would contact me. Seeing me on the hospital bed would make him sad. So I asked Dylan to help me act in advance. I don't want him to know that I am sick. I am actually not surprised that I have this disease. Because my younger brother also has this disease. I still remember that when I was in the orphanage, my mother wanted to take me away just to get one of my kidneys. At that time, I was cruel and didn't save my younger brother. This is retribution. My brother held my hand at that time. He said he would take care of me. Over the years, he has been very frugal. He works on construction sites. To save money. He eats steamed buns. He desperately saves money. My brother has even proposed to me. We will soon be protected by law. But I can't be my brother's bride anymore. 19. My brother is the best person in this world but has always been dragged down by me, who is naturally unlucky. I just want him to live his life well and without illness and disaster and marry a kind person as his wife. Later, when I graduated, I also wanted to make money desperately. I saved up my dowry. I advised my brother to rest more and do what he likes. But my brother always said that his life would be like this. I was even a little angry. He could be better. He could obviously be more excellent. I think God wants to take revenge on me for my mother. So he punishes me in this way. During that time, I felt that my life was a tragedy. I was a jinx. Whoever touched me would have bad luck. If I am gone, how sad will my brother who depends on me be? I started planning to leave. This is like a battle between the enemy and us on the battlefield. Injuring the enemy by 1,000 means self-inflicting 800. My brother left sadly. Dylan and I acted in scene after scene. I deliberately ignored him and smiled with the corners of my mouth, upturned while looking at my phone. In the restaurant, I lowered my head and held back the tears in my eyes and then said those hurtful words. My heart was bleeding. My brother bit his lip tightly. Don't be like this. What will you do after I leave? My brother even evaded the fact that I betrayed him. He was more and more patient with me. It can't be like this. Brother. Short-term pain is better than long-term pain. When my brother looked at the ambiguous message on his phone, and couldn't hide the sadness in his eyes and tremblingly handed the phone to me, I held my chest and calmed down for a long time in the car. After returning home, I was so sad that I was dying. I was afraid that I couldn't help crying when facing him. I hid in the bathroom but received a call from the doctor. Overtime at the company. One lie after another. My brother was still worried and came to pick me up at the company. I looked at my brother surrounded by smoke and cried. Dylan blocked my brother's sight. Looking from a distance, we seemed inseparable. Brother. It turns out that pushing away the person you love the most is like being torn apart alive. It is extremely painful. It is far more unbearable than the pain of suffering from a disease. Fortunately, my kidney cancer is still in the early stage. I spend a lot of time putting on makeup. Otherwise, my brother will find out sooner or later. I have to speed up. Dylan called me an idiot. Like my lonely brother in the orphanage. He actually has a bad temper. At a certain moment when Dylan hugged me in the hospital, it seemed like being with my brother in a parallel time and space. I couldn't stop crying. Brother, don't be like this. You have to be strong. Live on with my share. The VCR that my brother showed me was full of our memories together. But his eyes gradually became cold. There was disgust and sadness that couldn't be hidden. For a moment, I regretted it. I shouldn't have treated my brother like this. He must think I am the most disgusting person. He took the initiative to add Dylan's WeChat. Everything was developing as I expected. The hospital prescribed a lot of medicine. My symptoms became more and more obvious. Looking at the blood red in the toilet in the early morning, I decided to move out. The irritating words in Dylan's WeChat were all sent by me one by one with trembling hands. I covered my face. My shoulders were trembling. Tears flowed out through my fingers. Snot and tears covered my face. Then, Dylan said to me, "Why are you doing this? Brother. This is the only thing I can do for my brother. Why should I drag my brother to hell again and again? I am the one with bad luck. Brother. I am a child that even my own mother doesn't want. Why do you still protect me?" Then, I told Dylan about the short-lived love between me and my brother like moths to a flame. He likes everything I like. He loves me more than his own life. Dylan helplessly said, "He is really so good only because you are worthy. You are not even afraid of death. Why don't you actively seek treatment?" I feel hopeless. The final result is also losing both people and money. Besides, I don't have money. I smashed the piggy bank and left all the happiness fund inside for my brother. I walked slowly behind my brother. Look at him one more time, and accompany him for one more minute. The shadow is so long, but my life is so short. 20 when the young doctor found out about my kidney disease. He looked at me with some pity and said, "Where is your family member?" I didn't tell him that I have a lover. He is my brother who has warmed my first half of my life. The doctor couldn't bear it and still advised me, "Little girl. You are still young. Believe in science. There will definitely be miracles." I shook my head. I don't believe in science. I believe in fate. My brother is the easiest to feel distressed and sad. So it's better not to let him know. I started to prepare to leave. It seems that except for my kidney these years, my mother has never cared about whether I live or die. That day, when my brother was not around, I found the dean mother of the orphanage. I wanted to tell her my last words. The dean mother's eyes were red. "Tell me, child. I know that over the years, my brother and I are like conjoined twins. My brother is already strong enough. Without me as a burden, he will live well. But I am still worried. The only person I am worried about is my brother. I am afraid that he will be alone and helpless. I am afraid that there will be no one to share his joys and sorrows. So, Dean Mother, please accompany him. Just accompany him." The dean of the orphanage said that I am a pitiful person. I am not pitiful. I have a brother. None of them are as good as my brother. I don't need them. Now I am going to bring my brother home. 21 I saw a sky full of fire not far away. A tall boy collapsed and roared, "Anthony! You bastard! Didn't you say you can't die? Get up!" A group of people held him back. A crackling sound of the corpse being burned and broken by the fire and the smell of charred flesh lingered in the air for a long time. I knelt on the ground trembling. "Brother! Does it hurt? Brother! Wait for me to pick you up. Wait for me a little longer. Then I will go and accompany you. We will never be separated again." I put my brother's ashes into a pure white box. Matthew, my brother's good friend before his death, said with contempt, "People are dead. What affectionate tact are you putting on here? I can't imagine how you can be so cold and heartless. Your brother was thinking about you until he died." His words made me collapse. I cried and then started coughing violently. I covered my mouth tightly. Blood soaked out from between my fingers. He seemed to be frightened and rushed over to grab my shoulder. "Sarah, what's wrong with you? Why are you spitting blood?" I didn't have the strength to answer him. I looked at my brother vaguely smiling at me. He came to pick me up. "We will be together for a lifetime." 22 Sarah. "Sarah, don't fall asleep." Dylan called over and over again. But the doctor shook his head and said it was useless. The patient had no will to live. The hospital instrument recorded the last string of numbers left by Sarah in this world. Sarah was going to find Anthony. Her only love in this life. No one could stop her. "Sarah, if I met you first in this life, could you fall in love with me?" Dylan still didn't give up. He only thought that he was one step late. If only one step earlier. Sarah shed tears. She had envisioned countless times with Anthony about their wedding. She asked the nurse to put on a wedding dress for her but was afraid of wasting time. She was afraid that if she was late, Anthony would drink Mengipo soup and cross the Nai Bridge alone, and wouldn't wait for her. However, there was still Dylan. This friend, nagging in her ear. He begged Sarah to live one more day. Living one more day might bring the hope of a cure. Sarah regarded him as a true friend in life. But Anthony was her only salvation in this life. So she didn't want to live. She wanted to catch up with Anthony. This time, she still wanted to take the initiative to catch up with Anthony. It turns out that she has excellent taste. Anthony has protected her all his life. In the next life, she still wants to nestle by his side and be a soft little girl. In a white light. Anthony smiled and teased her. "I didn't propose yet. Why did you put on a wedding dress?" She finally saw Anthony coming to pick her up. She could finally put on a wedding dress and marry the boy she loves in her dream.